Right. There are a number of reasons, one being Israeli fears of confronting out-of-control Islamist militias on its border. Israel and Syria have a significant border that throughout the very authoritarian period of the Assad regime was a quiet border, unfriendly but quiet, under control border. And now it appears that there isn't really strict control over that area. The other reason, as you alluded to, are the Druze populations. There's a significant Druze minority in Syria, and there's a significant Druze minority in Israel that is very politically influential. And in many cases, Israeli Druze are blood relations of these Druze in Syria just across the border. And so in the last 3 days in Israel, as news of what appears to be massacres by Salafi militias in Syria, unclear how connected they are or not to the government in Syria directly, but as news of these attacks against Druze communities in southern Israel filtered through, a pretty massive political pressure has been placed on the government to rescue these people. In fact, there are at least 20 Syrian Druze, maybe more by now, who have been airlifted into Israeli hospitals, wounded people from Syria. That in and of itself is not a commonplace thing. And we have very prominent Israeli military figures, journalistic figures, Druze themselves, who are demanding that the government act immediately and forcefully to prevent a massacre of basically their cousins and brothers across the border.
Noga, any international military implications in all of this?
Lots. So that's a very, very good question. The United States still has about 2,000 troops deployed in Syria, up in the north, in the Kurdish areas, where they had been placed years ago to defend that other minority, the Kurdish minority in Syria. President Trump announced that they would withdraw, but they have yet to withdraw. There is a very significant Russian military presence. In fact, some people were referring to Syria as a Russian military camp before the fall of Bashar Assad. The Russians had kind of come in and established a major military presence to protect Bashar Assad before his fall, and to establish a military presence in the Middle Eastern region for Russia. Turkey has become a predominant force in Syria since the fall of the Assad regime. And so Israel now staking out positions, possibly for the long term in southern Syria, implies a really significant international takeover, I would say, with an Israeli part now in Syria, in a Syria that is still not consolidated around its new government, and where various forces are still angling for power and influence. Israel, of course, is doing this while mid-war still with Hamas. And so it's a very complicated, I would say, general panorama militarily right on Israel's northern border.